Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking the almost alien biology of plant reproduction. And honestly, it's wild to see exactly how human ingenuity stepped in and totally hijacked it to feed the planet. We're going on a journey from the microscopic cells inside a single flower all the way up to those massive commercial agricultural systems that literally keep us alive. Let's get right into it. But before we dive into the technical mechanics, I want you to consider this really strange paradox of nature. Think about your last trip to the produce aisle. Every single year, farmers are growing millions of identical, seedless fruits. We're talking bananas, seedless grapes, you name it. So, how is that mathematically or even biologically possible? Seriously, how do you build a plant without a seed? To figure out how plants pull this off, we've got to look at their ultimate shapeshifter superpower. It's this wild biological phenomenon called alternation of generations. Unlike animals, plants literally live two completely separate lives in a single life cycle. It's like a sci-fi movie. They just alternate back and forth between two entirely distinct multicellular bodies. So, here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover nature's hidden reproductive superpowers, then move to the double fertilization miracle, and look at apomixis, which is the cloning trick. After that, we'll shift to the art of plant propagation and wrap up with the modern nursery industry. Okay, Section 1, Nature's Hidden Reproductive Superpowers. Let's start right down at the cellular level and decode these incredibly complex, hidden reproductive systems that plants have been evolving over millions of years. You've really got to notice the stark contrast between a plant's two distinct bodies here. On one side, you've got the sporophyte phase. This is the diploid body that holds two sets of chromosomes, and its main job is to pump out asexual spores. But on the flip side, you have the gametophyte phase. This body is haploid. It holds just one set of chromosomes, and its job is to produce sexual gametes like sperm and eggs. Think about familiar plants like a fern or a towering oak tree. That massive tree you're looking at, that's the sporophyte. The gametophyte is microscopically small, just completely hidden away inside. Crazy, right? Moving right along to Section 2, the double fertilization miracle. This is an absolutely brilliant biological efficiency hack completely unique to flowering plants, or angiosperms. It's the exact mechanism that guarantees the seeds they produce actually pack enough energy to survive. So this process is known as double fertilization, and it's basically a highly choreographed, microscopic dance. First, a pollen tube grows down into the plant style. Then, a generative cell travels down and divides into two sperm cells. Now here is where the magic happens. One sperm fertilizes the egg, which creates the actual baby plant, the diploid zygote. But that second sperm, it fuses with two polar nuclei to create this triploid cell that eventually develops into the endosperm. So the crucial point here is that this isn't just a single fusion. It's a chronological sequence where two completely distinct fertilization events are happening at the exact same time. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why double fertilization matters so much, not just to the plant, but to us. First off, it conserves plant energy. The plant literally doesn't waste resources building food for a seed until that egg is officially fertilized. Plus, it allows for incredibly rapid seed development and restores those diploid chromosome numbers. But here is the big takeaway. That endosperm doesn't just feed the tiny baby plant embryo. That endosperm provides the core nutrition, like the wheat, rice, and corn flour, for the entire human race. It's literally the food that powers the world. That brings us to Section 3, apomixis, the cloning trick. While sexual reproduction is undeniably amazing, nature also went ahead and developed a cheat code. It's a way for plants to bypass that whole complex fertilization process entirely. This cheat code is called apomixis. Think of this as nature's ultimate cloning trick. Basically, apomixis is the asexual formation of a seed. The offspring that results from this is an exact one-to-one genetic clone of the mother plants. It allows a plant to package its exact genetic replica into a perfectly functional seed without ever needing a single grain of pollen. Honestly, it's just a fascinating extreme of evolutionary biology. Moving on to Section 4. The art of plant propagation. Now that we have decoded these wild biological superpowers, it's time to look at exactly how humanity learned to harness them for our own benefit. You see, farmers realized very early on that relying on sexual propagation, growing from seeds, is a massive gamble. Sure, seeds are fantastic for creating genetic diversity, which is exactly what a species needs to survive out in the wild. But think about it. If you find a tree that grows the absolute perfect, sweetest apple, and you plant its seeds, well, the offspring are probably going to be entirely different. If you want an orchard of identical perfect apples, you have to bypass the seed completely. You have to use asexual, vegetative propagation, taking actual physical parts of the plant itself to create exact genetic clones. Historically, our mastery of these techniques didn't happen overnight. It built up over millennia. Around 10,000 years ago, during the Neolithic Revolution, ancient farmers started off just simply replanting sugarcane stems or dividing up banana suckers. Then, by 1500 BCE, we see Egyptian tomb paintings showing workers expertly hand-pollinating date palms. Fast forward to the Han Dynasty, and Chinese agriculturalists were totally mastering layering techniques for their fruit trees. And by the 1st century CE, Roman writers were documenting incredibly advanced grafting techniques that they used to cultivate identical varieties all across the Mediterranean. The historical progression is just mind-blowing. Which leads us perfectly into Section 5, the modern nursery industry. Today, those ancient discoveries haven't just survived, they have evolved into a highly scientific, global nursery industry that quietly underpins our entire modern food system. Modern vegetative propagation relies heavily on this incredible biological property called totopotency. Basically, this means that almost every living plant cell has the complete genetic blueprint tucked inside it to regenerate a whole new organism. Because of this superpower, commercial nurseries can just snip a simple stem cutting from some new growth, dab on a little rooting hormone, stick it in the right soil mix, and trigger it to grow entirely new roots. They are taking these elite, superior plant varieties and just mass-producing them identically. And as you'd guess, this translates directly into massive scale. By turning an abstract biological concept into a streamlined industrial process, commercial nurseries pump out millions of tangible, identical plants. We're talking rows upon rows of perfect clones, all grown in standardized commercial pots, totally ready to be shipped out and planted into global agricultural systems. The true impact of this nursery industry is staggering when you break it down. First, it ensures clonal fidelity, meaning farmers get exactly the elite crop they paid for, zero surprises. It also completely overcomes natural seed sterility in crops we love, like bananas and seedless grapes. Plus, it rigorously manages disease by providing certified clean, pathogen-free stock. And it seriously accelerates breeding programs by shaving years off the multiplication process. Simply put, without these nurseries multiplying disease-free, high-yielding clones, feeding billions of people would quite literally be mathematically impossible. To quote our source material directly on this, propagation provides the foundation for commercial cultivation of fruits, vegetables, plantation crops, and ornamental plants. And it's so true. From a microscopic sperm cell navigating a tiny pollen tube, all the way up to these vast, climate-controlled greenhouses filled with grafted fruit trees, the science of propagation is the literal foundation of human survival and modern civilization. So, I'll leave you with this final thought. Knowing that almost every commercial fruit you eat today is an exact genetic clone, how will our continued mastery of these plant superpowers secure our food supply in a rapidly changing climate? Next time you snack on a seedless grape or peel a banana, just take a second to remember, you are tasting thousands of years of human ingenuity, perfectly hacking millions of years of plant evolution. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.